Have you ever found yourself thinking, man, I'm such a good product, but I don't have any marketing? Maybe women in your life or other guys have been like, yeah, you're just such a cool guy, but for whatever reason, maybe you're not getting the attention you deserve, or maybe you actually have a physical product or a coaching service, and you feel like the best kept secret in your industry. If you could only get the marketing right, then you'd be dominating. Well, if that's you, you'll want to tune into this podcast. I'm here with my very close friend, Owen. And Owen's got an interesting background. He was originally a fitness influencer, and now he helps people build their fitness business and helps with all the marketing and the strategy. And very similar to me, but with a different niche, I was originally a dating coach, and now I help guys build their social circle. And building a social circle and building a business is unbelievably similar. And there's so many parallels. And if you feel like you're good at one, but you suck at the other, then you'll really want to tune in and listen to what we have to say here, because we're going to go a pretty deep dive in how to position yourself, your product, or your service better all around so you get it in front of the people that need it. You're listening to the Inner Confidence Podcast. My name is Robbie Kramer. I've been a coach since 2007, and I've helped countless men rapidly achieve all of their social and dating goals. My mission is simple: to help you position yourself to meet stunning women, make awesome friends, en route to becoming the most confident and attractive version you can possibly be. I am obsessed with giving you the most leveraged ways possible to win the game, so stick around, let's go. Owen, thanks so much for coming and helping me host this show.
Yeah, man, it's so good to be back. I can't remember how long it was ago since we last hooked up for a podcast, but it must actually be 2 years, I believe. It wasn't last year. I think it was the year before. So it's good to be back, and I'm excited about the topic as well, because like we spoke about, we've both had, I guess, a little change of direction in what we do recently, and we've kind of gone into the next level in some sense, which is exciting and fun. And I think that whole journey has such parallels just across life in general.
Oh,
yeah. Not only in social life and business, but just life in general. I think your product or your personal brand or who you are is so important, especially coming into 2025. I think it's a really interesting and important topic. So I'm excited.
Yeah, likewise. Well, it's cool because we're both kind of helping each other, recently and over the years. You've helped me get in better shape. You've helped me a lot with my marketing as well. And we're always kicking ideas off each other. I feel like I've been pretty instrumental in helping you build a social circle, especially when you moved over to Bulgaria and using those same strategies. And it's awesome to see you embarking on YouTube and having that, be a consistent thing that you're doing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about when you started seeing the parallels between building your social circle and then building your online business? Because you built an amazing social circle in Bulgaria, with another close friend of ours, and you've been crushing it out there. You're originally from Ireland, right? So we both did the digital nomad thing as well. I built a great social circle in Ukraine before I moved back to the States and got married. You're probably going to be married soon too, so that's fun. Not to put words in your mouth.
It's early days. Oh, you put them there, bro. They're there already. Yeah, I mean, when we first got connected a few years ago, I was doing like the social circle thing in Barcelona, and I thought that I was pretty good at it, and I had some good results. But doing it in Sofia, we just took it to a whole other level this year with your help. Absolutely, you were instrumental in that, and it was so interesting to me as well, because I was studying. It's almost like studying these two different things, and one was obviously business and marketing and sales and product and service delivery and making things better. And then as I started taking social circle, I guess, more seriously and actually looking at it as a system, because you have it really, really systemized and down to a fine art, I would say, in terms of we landed here in this city, and within 6 months we were having parties with like tons of cool people, like penthouse party with 40 people. People are like quoting us about this apartment, like, oh, we've heard about this apartment, within 6 months, which is kind of unheard of. I don't really know anyone else who's doing that. And certainly in Barcelona, I was there for a couple of years and we had success, but it took us a lot longer because we didn't have the systems and we were kind of just doing stuff.
Right.
And so I think that transition to almost treating the social circle, at least for me, a little bit more through the lens of a business. Like, what are the inputs to get the outputs that I want? How can I systemize this? Even like utilizing Instagram, right? Because I think I posted a thread for your guys around like the Instagram group chat prior to hosting an event or a party. And that's like a system that I have used for coaching events and live events and stuff as well. So the transition from, I guess, just being social and having fun to actually, okay, I'm going to learn how to strategize and systemize this really also taught me a lot about business as well. So I also learned a lot about, oh wait, there's things I'm overlooking in my business as well. And I think there were so many parallels to them both. And fundamentally, they're the same thing. You want to bring the right people into your world. You have to go out and find those people. You have to have something that's attractive to those people where they want to come and be part of your world and invest in you, the product or the service that you provide, or just being in your company. And when you actually think about it, it's really the same thing. And the deep underlying concepts, we're just dealing with people at the end of the day. And it's like human psychology, how humans behave, and you can understand that and you have the systems to apply it. And the sky is the limit, I think, in both business and social life and everything else.
100%. Yeah, I loved how you framed that just then. And I feel like a lot of guys start either in the dating world or in, the business world. It's funny. I don't know if you've noticed this, but some guys will be like, my product is amazing and I just need to market it better. And you're looking at it like, product's bad, bro. No one, no one wants that. There's a lot of work you got to do on the product. And then there's some guys who have an amazing product already. Maybe they're the product, or maybe their coaching service is the product, whatever. But they don't have the confidence that they should, right? They think it sucks, and therefore they're procrastinating on doing anything to get the word out there. And so, yeah, if your product sucks, that requires, I feel like, a lot more investment in fixing that and getting that to not suck, whether that's, if it's something like fashion, that's pretty easy. But if, it's something about your personality or just in general, nobody wants the product, right? You got to do some market research. You got to test. You got to see, right? Is it the product or is it the marketing? So I think we should probably focus on this podcast, given the product's decent, right? Then it's like, what are those strategies that are going to work? Because if your product sucks, none of the marketing matters. Unless it's, you're selling like snake oil or something like a scam, right? Then whatever. But I think that story, maybe like hearing your story of how you started in Sophia and also how you're currently building your business, I think that would track really well for people listening. And I can chime in as well and what I've done, because I've been really focusing more on the marketing side of things and growing my influence in that way to attract the right sort of guys into my business.
For sure. But I think one thing to just caveat is you've got to work on the product first. Because like you said, if your product is really, really poor, then the marketing it's like filling an empty bucket, right? And you mentioned the snake oil salesman, right? They got to just sell shit to new people all the time. Right? Because they don't get repeat business and repeat customers. And you have an incredible product. The community that you run is amazing. And you have an incredible service, I guess, as well. It's probably a product and a service. And so pushing marketing to that that's certainly where you should be putting your focus. And I think that's the thing as well, because even if the product is incredible, if nobody knows about it, it still won't take off. Now, it being incredible just means that it's easier to get more people in and referrals and all of these things. But I think certainly you have to have a presence nowadays as well. Like, you have to get out there. You have to basically show people why they should come and work with you and why they should trust you. And just before this podcast, we spoke about YouTube and big reason I'm using YouTube a lot this year is to build that personal brand and build that influence and just extend the volume of long form content that I have out there as well, because that's, I guess, long form content in YouTube, right, is almost like the equivalent of hosting a party video or an event video, that you run an event or you run a party and you do this cool after video, and potentially you even have like some behind the scenes. Actually, this is a cool idea. I'm just thinking you guys could maybe do like some behind the scenes of setting up the parties on YouTube. That would be an interesting
Ooh,
thing for some of your guys to vlog, because I think people would find that really, really interesting,
yeah,
particularly like in a certain city. But I think definitely the marketing, it's so important, because reality is we can think of supplement companies out there that are absolute junk, multi-level marketing companies, but somehow they make millions, probably billions. I don't even know what they make. And, you know, most people know they're pretty shit. Most
right.
people know the product is shit, but really good marketing can outdo that. But I think you have to have both, especially in 2025, because in my experience, at least on the coaching front, there's a bit of a trust recession where in 2020, a ton of people became fitness trainers and went online because fitness training was blowing up because people had nothing to do and they had stimulus checks. So they were buying coaching and everyone became a personal trainer. But then the quality of the average personal trainer went down because the barrier to entry was almost zero. And a lot of
Mhm.
people just had bad experiences. They got burnt. I think this is probably the case in other industries as well. Just my experience is in that industry.
Yeah.
And so trust seems to be at quite a low, and especially in the mentoring and the business building space, which I'm in now, it's like notoriously bad for non-trustworthy folk taking your money and giving you a kind of shitty experience. So I think it's more and more important now to build trust, build authority, build status, build influence. And it's exactly the same. If you want cool, high level people to come to your parties and hang out, they first need to know that you're not some crazy serial killer, right? And that they can trust you, and that you are a cool person, you have social status, you have authority by running these events. And I think that you can only really get that trust and authority and influence by actually going out and taking the action and doing the thing. And I know that a lot of your guys are like just amazing for like organizing and creating things, and some of the guys are doing pretty amazing things, but that's really the only way to build it in the social space. Like you have to go out and do it. And
And you have to show up consistently, because the same is true with that trend that you noticed happen. I saw it happen with dating. I saw it happen in the dating coaching space, for more guys started becoming like, well, what's stopping me from being like a YouTuber and a dating coach, right? There's no barrier to entry for that. You could just basically, you got a mic and you got a podcast. To the untrained eye, like if you don't know nothing about dating strategy and you can talk some shit about it, then guys might think that you are a dating coach, right? So there is no board, right? And with dating, everyone like flooded to online dating, right? Even more so around 2020. And you see these sites getting more and more popular, but trust being eroded. Same thing happened in the golf space, because I'm also like a for fun golf influencer on the side with my wife now. And like every single guy's got like a coaching program teaching you golf, right? So, and because of that, as you said, like to be able to build trust, right? You're not going to build that in one quick like sales video or one quick Instagram reel, right? Like playing the short game, like trying to get the hottest girl you've ever seen out on an online date. Good luck. She's just not like, that's not going to work. She's going out with the guys that she's seen show up in her life. Either she met them through a friend or she sees them on Instagram posting things of status over time. And eventually you turn that no, everyone's a no in the beginning, and you turn them into a yes by building that credibility, the trust, the attraction, right? So I've seen the same exact thing you're describing play out. And that's, I feel like, what hosting regular parties or, consistently posting quality content on social media, that's what it allows you to do, is to become somebody of value and trust in someone else's life, and then they opt in.
yeah, and that's how I saw the the parties function. So this year, or sorry, last year, I keep forgetting we're in 2025 now. Last year in 2024, we were doing the parties in Sofia, and the parties were just these events where you could build a ton of social status. You could bring a ton of new people, people that you knew, but they would come with friends and they would invite other people, and some random people would show up, like always happens.
Right.
And they would just be almost like this big lead generation bucket where, yeah, maybe there's like 30 people there, and they're not all people that you actually want to hang out with, or maybe they're some of them just show up once and you never see them again, and some of them come consistently and some of them come back. But it's kind of the same as like doing the YouTube videos, right? Like lots of people land in the video and some people are a good fit, and some people watch it once and never come back, and some people like it and subscribe, and they're like the people who return to the parties and keep consistently coming in, and then they bring their friends, and someone sends the YouTube video, someone brings a friend to the party. It's like the same thing. And then over time you start to separate the people from the party who are like a really good fit, who are the people you're interested in hanging out with, the people who you are attracted to or attracted to you, either in a dating and social sense or in a client and coach and, working relationship sense. And then over time, you just slowly start to actually attract the right people. And like you said, someone shows up to a party, they don't know who you are. It's kind of a no. It's like nobody buys from the first YouTube video. Right. It's like also the first party, no one is like, okay, you're the guy, that's it. It's like they probably got to know you a little bit better. But just the fact that you are out there on YouTube hosting content consistently, or you are hosting parties consistently, it's like, okay, this person is actually legit and serious and putting in the work and putting in the effort, and all these other people are following them, and all these other people are showing up. And that over not that long a period of time definitely flips people to be like, okay, I want to work with you, or I want to hang out with you, or I want to date you, or whatever else falls under that umbrella.
Yeah, have you heard of the rule of 7 in marketing?
Is it the 7-11-4?
I believe so. Basically, if you drive down Sepulveda Boulevard right here, which can't really see out my window, but it's a major street in LA. What you're gonna see is like 7 billboards in a row of the same movie. Right, when they were advertising like Barbie and Oppenheimer, a couple of years ago, it was like Barbie billboard, Oppenheimer, and it's like, why the hell would they put that many billboards in a row? Like, why would I need to see that? And they're basically, you have to say no to something 6 or 7 times before you say yes. And I think now they've changed that to 11 because we're just getting smashed with more and more advertisements and noise, right? Being like constantly being yelled at. So you have to say no to something a bunch of times, and that's why they do that. But is that the same as what you're talking about? And what's the 4 part?
Yeah, so the principle is the same. I don't want to butcher it. I'll give it a go. So Google came out with it, and the 7-11-4 rule or principle is, I think they need to consume for somebody to buy from you, or for somebody to like build full trust and authority and be bought in, they need to consume 7 hours of your content, or just come across you, spend 7 hours of time with you. Mm-hmm. So potentially it's someone who, attends one of your speaking gigs and sees you on stage for an hour and a half, and then they watch an hour and a half of a YouTube video, and then they watch a bit of Instagram, an hour of Instagram over time. It's like 7 hours of time spent with you in 11 different places. And I feel like I've butchered it. I think it's 11 different formats. So for example, 11 different touch points in 4 different places. That's it.
Okay.
It's 7 hours with you in 11 different touch points. So touch point could be they see you on Instagram stories, they see a post, they see you tagged with a friend, they might see you on YouTube, they might see you engaging with someone else. It's kind of the same concept in the dating and social world. And then finally, 4 places. So they're seeing you in different places over time. And I guess in the dating world, this is somebody spending more time with you at events or parties or just hanging out. And then they're, different touch points. So, they see you at a bar, they see you at a club, they see you at a party, they, meet up and have coffee with a bunch of friends, they go for lunch. And over time you kind of start to build these touch points. And yeah, it's Google. If I butchered it a little bit, you can just type 7-Eleven 4. But it seems to be pretty well accepted in the marketing space as,
Right.
in a nutshell, it's like get seen by people more times in more places as much as possible. And that's essentially what I'm doing this year. It's a big part of my focus this year.
Yeah, and I think the important part of that too is at what point do you introduce like the close or the sale? And I think as a whole, guys who struggle both with women and in marketing, they do that way too early, right? They do it before the person is a yes, right? They try to close the deal, you try to ask for the date, you try to go for the close, right? Or you're just too lazy to build out the entire funnel, and you're just like, no, I'm just going to put up one like quick video with a link to a book me on a call page, and think you're going to be able to get clients that way. That might have worked 5-10 years ago, but now because of the erosion in trust, it's just not going to work, right? And there's too many people giving away really valuable free content for that to work. They're always going to sign up with the guy that they trust more, who's more established, right? And the same goes with dating. You see these guys, pushing first message, hey, grab a drink with me. That's never going to work. She's going to go out with the guy who's, she's been to 3 or 4 of his parties, and she sees him on Instagram and he hasn't asked her out. And now she's going to slide into the DMs and be like, yo, when's the next party? She's going to show interest in the next thing. And that's when effectively you want to start moving into that, close the deal process, I feel like.
For sure. I have a close friend, really, really successful guy. And one of his main client acquisition strategies is just an 8-hour course on YouTube. But it's 8 hours of content. And it's actually, it's the kind of course he could probably sell for like $5,000, but it's just free on YouTube. And I think he runs ads, or he doesn't even run ads. He runs organic content, and he just funnels it all to this video, and people go through the course, and the ones who make it through come out the other end and just sign up because they've just consumed so much of his content that it's inevitable, and he's given a lot of value. And I think that's the other thing as well. You do need to also, so there's a lot of people who I see, and I know some people personally who've built huge followings on viral content, but viral content that's not associated with what they're doing, right?
Right.
So imagine a guy in a new city, and he's posting party reels, and he's hosting all these cool events, and he's posting this content, and it's getting tons of views, and people are coming and following him, and he gets 5,000 followers from party reels and events he's doing in his home city. He's killing it. But then imagine another guy in the same city who's posting like, I don't know, motivational quotes and funny animal videos, and he gets 100K followers, but it's not the same status as the guy with 5K followers who's built the following off the fact that he's doing cool high social events and stuff as well. So I think as well as being seen in more places by more people, you also have to make sure that you're being seen doing the right things. And that is just so important as well, because I think there's a big swing coming back. You know how the pendulum swings and then it comes back? I think the pendulum swing, based on what I've seen happening in social media and what I've seen working for myself and my clients, and also for a lot of mentors and friends of mine in the space who are much more successful than I am, that the viral content that has no relevance to what you sell is just bringing in tons of the wrong people, and it's not actually giving you credibility or status. Because when you do post something that's relevant to what you sell, nobody engages with it because they're here because you're a meme page or you're, you know what I mean? So it's also kind of important to bear that in mind, because sometimes people get that wrong and they go, oh, I just need to get attention. And they're like, I'm going to go be a dancing idiot on TikTok and, get a ton of views. But it's like, that's not the kind of attention that you want if, you want to be a high status person in a new city. It's like, well, what do I actually want to be known for? And 5,000 followers being known for having baller parties and doing baller events and just, being a connector of high level people, that's way more valuable than 100,000 followers for being a kind of comic clown, which
Right.
I think a lot of people pursue that. And I guess it's probably relevant to both because I'm trying to, there seems to be like this, there seems to be this myth that you need to go viral,
Mm.
but that virality is just not for the goals of high level people. I don't know any high level people who are like, you need to go viral.
Yeah, that's true. I think there's some people that are marketing these, well, they're trying to sell a course and like how to make viral videos and how to do that. And, they're trying to make a buck, right? But you're absolutely right. Like if you focus on virality, then you're focused on basically like giving people a quick hit, right? And an easy sort of a magic pill or a drug, and those don't work. Everybody who's tried enough of them understand, like, okay, the real magic is in the consistency and figuring out a good strategy and deploying the strategy over a period of time, and then tweaking and refining and iterating, right? Versus if you're trying to go for the quick instant gratification, it's just, yeah, you might get some eyeballs, but those followers won't be worth a whole lot at all. And it's funny you brought up the course. I actually created one of those courses about almost a year ago. It's a 7-week course. I actually modeled it based off of forget the guy's name. He teaches SEO. And what stood out for me about him, Neil Patel, I think his name is. You've probably heard of. Yeah. So when I went to his website, originally it was like sign up for my 7-week free SEO course, and like I started going through the videos. I'm like, wow, there's a ton of value in here. And I'm like, I could do this for dating. And so I noticed when I put that together, I basically just took some of the best content I had, like in the members area for the inner circle, and some other stuff I had, and I just sparsed it out into a course. And that's really helped to, drive more sales conversations and drive people through my funnel. And now I'm taking it a step further. I'm having a copywriter who's I've worked with from the very beginning, like back in 2008 when I started the business, who's kind of followed me along the whole way. We're creating like a newsletter, a 5-series email course that will go into that bigger course. Because I've seen also it can be a little bit overwhelming for someone to commit to a course right away. And we've seen a drop in like the people continuing on, right? And so I'm putting the 5-step course before the like 7-week course and seeing how that's going to work and testing that out.
Sure. Yeah, that might kind of show you, I guess the people who complete the 5-step course are quite high intent leads. It's kind of like the people who keep showing up to the parties and staying at the end. They're not going home. It's like, okay.
Right.
Let's just
give me the tour. Show me your room, Owen.
the famous words. Yeah, we know what's up. We know what's up.
Right. Quick little magic mind shot coming here. So if you guys haven't tried this stuff, I really recommend it. It's a shot. I take it every day. Way better than coffee. Tastes great. It's got some matcha in it. It's given me a ton of focus and clarity. I also take the night regime. Really helped me fall asleep faster, and I get a better night's sleep. I don't find myself waking up. And I need to get one of those sleep tracking things so I can test it out. But I mean, just so far so good. I've been using this stuff for about a month, and I've been using Magic Mind for about 6 months. So go check out their website, look at other customer testimonials. If you go to magicmind.com/innerconfidence20, give you 20% off on your subscription, and give it a try. If you don't like it, they'll refund your money and no questions asked. And yeah, get some of this stuff. I think it's great. Tell us about you're in the sort of like beginning journey of the YouTube space. And it's been cool to watch you consistently, post content. And I love the thumbnails that you've been putting out, which is a big piece of the pie, right? With YouTube and just with any content in general, like there's so much tweaking you could do. But you only have that, millisecond to get their attention and to hopefully hook them and keep them watching the content. Same as if you approach a girl in a bar, right? Like if you're boring, you're dead or online date, whatever. So what have you found so far, and maybe walk us through the journey of how you've been, trying to build your YouTube?
Sure. Well, I'm an absolute YouTube Goliath. I just hit 50 subscribers today, so you better watch out. I'm coming to take all the trophies. You have the applause. I'm actually really happy about that though, because I really only started taking YouTube seriously and doing it consistently at the beginning of this year, which, we're now the 4th of February recording this. So it's just been about 4.5 weeks. And in that time frame, I actually feel like I've learned a lot. I've actually managed to hit 100 hours of view time somehow. Even though I've actually got quite a few videos, because some of my mastermind videos from my course actually get uploaded to YouTube automatically afterwards. And most of them are unlisted, so only my clients can see. But there's some of them that I have made public just so other people can use them as well. So it's been interesting. Like, initially my whole thing was, I'm not going to expect that I'm going to be good. There we go. 52, yeah, you're one of my subscribers, my loyal friend. We, at the beginning when I started, I kind of understood that there's no way I'm going to be good at this immediately. So my commitment and my metric of progress here is just consistency. If I produce at least one video a week for the entire year, I will be very, very happy. So I'm doing one vlog a week, which is documenting the journey. And then there's some different pieces of content there around sales and marketing and things like that as well. I've got a few podcasts and stuff up there, but it's really just this video where you're, the video on the very left there, how I'm building a one-man coaching business to 250K run rate. This is the point at which I started taking it seriously. So all the other stuff before that is basically, just kind of thrown up because I had it. It didn't have any intention or strategy behind it. Whereas now the YouTube has a clear intention and strategy. And I'm growing consistently. I wouldn't say quickly, but consistently. And I feel like the people who are coming inbound are qualified leads as well. And I found out that the video I put up yesterday has like a 31% click-through rate from impressions, which apparently is like very, very good. I think, having a pretty girl sitting on you when you're bench pressing maybe had something to do with that. Maybe it wasn't my bench press, but I'm going to maintain that it was my bench press technique or whatever.
It was definitely the bench press. That's what I was looking at.
It's been really fun, to be honest, Robbie. And I think it's like everything, it's a learning experience, but I very much have adopted a long-term mindset. Like, I'll check the YouTube statistics and analytics and decide if I'm going to continue it in 5 years. Until I've done it for like 5 years consistently, I'm not going to decide whether or not it's been a success, because it'll take that length of time. And right now I'm only committed to 1 year. But when I get to the end of 1 year, I'm not going to do, a year and a half and be like, right, that's it, I'm not doing YouTube anymore, because I've looked at the numbers of people who have had success in anything, and it's like thousands of actions.
Yeah.
It's thousands and thousands of actions. And I think if you really want to be good at anything, you probably have to do it for a decade. And that's not an understatement. I think you would probably agree. I know you're incredibly good at what you do, and you've probably done it for 2 decades at this point.
I'm coming up on the 2 decades. And just to give some context, I literally started this channel, I think in like 2009. So, I'm maybe at like 1,000 subscribers per year for 16 years or whatever. Or no, that would put me at 16K, 100 subscribers per year. And I'm not claiming, I think I suck at YouTube. But in the last year, I've doubled my subscribers basically. And I've, consistently, I'm not as good as I could be with consistency, but I've got hundreds and hundreds of videos and podcasts on here. But even having like someone who's looking at these numbers, the guy doesn't even have 2,000 subscribers. This is enough to support a 6-figure plus business, right? Just with this small amount. It doesn't, as you were saying, Owen, it doesn't take millions or even hundreds of thousands, even 10,000s of subscribers if you're putting out quality content. because guys will come and they'll watch a podcast and they'll 5 podcasts, 7 podcasts, and they get to that 7-11-4 rule. And then, they see me as a credible source, and then we'll jump on a call and end up working together. So I don't have a ton of subscribers. I'm certainly no expert in the YouTube space whatsoever, but I just want to show this as a way for, you don't have to hit these crazy numbers to be successful and to support yourself and to have a growing business. And like you were saying earlier as well, I get more business through referrals. So anything I do get through YouTube is just a bonus. And I'm working on, figuring out how to hook people's attention and get more engagement and create more valuable videos as well. So it's just kind of like the new game I'm playing. I used to do that when it came to my dating life, and now I'm doing that when it comes to my marketing and business. So the parallels are interesting though. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And the way that I'm using YouTube and Instagram is my main platform. I guess it's probably your main platform. Would you consider it your main platform? Yeah, right. So Instagram, I mean, you've got good platforms all around, by the way. You've got the podcast, you're on Spotify, you're on YouTube, you're on Instagram, you've got solid audiences. I know you've been TikTok audience. I don't know how that's going, if you're still doing that, but you have a good audience there.
Well, funny enough, I'll give you the stats on that real quick. My most followed platform is TikTok. I've got 18,000 subs. Never got a single client off TikTok. Not one. Nothing. Not even like hey, you want to have a sales conversation? Zero interest, which I find shocking, right? They started doing that in 2020 and still nothing. On Instagram, I have about 5,000 subscribers. And I get the most interest, I think, from Instagram. YouTube's going to follow that. And I've got 1,600 or whatever. And then across my podcasting channels, I probably have 3,000 or 4,000 subscribers. Spotify and Apple. But those aren't huge numbers whatsoever.
But they're more than what you need. You have everything you need there to have and you do have an incredibly successful business. And I think the thing so the way that I'm at least looking at these platforms, because my hub is really Instagram, and I have 2 Instagram accounts, which I have some followers on. I mean, I have Facebook, but again, Facebook, it's 4,000 or 5,000 followers, but it's it brings me next to nothing. Yeah, it's pretty much all Instagram and email list and YouTube, and so basically the Instagram is the place where I'm getting the eyeballs for the most part, the short-term eyeballs at least. And then when those people come, I'm funneling them to YouTube to basically speed up the 7-11-4 rule and start to build relationships at scale. And also the good thing about YouTube is when somebody watches your YouTube video, the cookies or whatever the things are that follow people around the web start to direct them to more of your videos. So if you can get somebody to watch one of your YouTube videos, such as, hey, check this out, welcome, thanks for following me, check out this video, it's going to increase the likelihood that that person sees more of your content in the future. And then the email list is where I, actually educate and give away more specific stuff that's a little bit more actionable. I would say the YouTube is more brand building and building a relationship with me. The email list is a little bit more giving deeper value and making private offers to people there to come and work with me.
And the email list is yours, meaning you don't own that platform. YouTube owns your subscribers. Instagram owns your subscribers, but your email list is your only real direct access, right? And I think that is such an important piece of it, because that's how you effectively hedge against, you could get shut down or shadow banned or whatever. It's the only way to maintain any sort of control over your destiny. And I think that's so important.
Yeah. Because we don't even think about existential risks to online business, right? We're just I've got, 20,000 Instagram followers, 50,000 Instagram followers. I'm like, yeah, what else do you have? Nothing. Okay, what happens if you get taken down tomorrow? Your 10 years of hard work is gone. So that's something as well with all of my guys, because most of my guys who come into the mentorship and are getting mentored, they all just have Instagram. right? And I was the same. I just said Instagram for years. It's just, Instagram, it's what online coaches do, right? But yeah, we just don't know. We don't know. Yeah, I don't expect Meta to go anywhere anytime soon, but you don't know. Everything has a sell by date, right?
Right.
Nothing lasts forever, and we just simply don't know. And then also, yeah, sure. I mean, I actually did get my account blocked recently, and then I appealed it, and they came back and they were like, "Oh, it's just a false alarm for something that their automated system flagged." But
Wow.
like 24 hours, I was like, "Shit,
Yeah.
shit, where is my account?" And it's like, dude, it's like 6 years of work. So I think getting an email list, getting people over there, and even just in terms of like non-existential stuff, but with platforms and the way their algorithms work and more people producing content all the time, and AI meaning just more content is produced with less resources and effort. It's like I can only ever see engagement going one direction. I can't see it ever going that everyone's engagement goes up. It's like
Right.
over time you probably get seen by less and less people. But your email list, you could get that, 30-40% open rate. If you've got 1,000 people on that list, you're directly speaking to 300-400 people, and they're not distracted by tons of other posts. They're actually just in this email. So it's also a much more direct way to communicate. And when I look at like every successful business, they sell through email.
Oh yeah.
Like Instagram is just this thing that they have. But like real businesses sell through email. Amazon don't sell through Instagram. They sell through email, special offers. Like if you actually look at the proper businesses on the planet, the big boys, it's email marketing.
Oh yeah.
And they own it outright. It's not going anywhere. They can set up and bombard you with 10 emails a day until you buy something. It's email marketing is just absolute beast. I've only really realized that recently and been like, wow, because it sounds, for I don't even know what generation I am. I think I'm a millennial. No, I'm a boom. No,
No,
I'm
you're a
not.
millennial.
I'm a is a 90s baby a millennial?
Yes.
I'm a 90s baby. Okay.
Yeah. I'm 80s and I'm 82 and I'm one of the earliest millennials. It's Gen X is like 70s, 80s and 90s is millennials, and then Gen
Gotcha.
Z is like 2000. Yeah.
Gotcha. So anyway, for me in my mind, it's like, email is old fashioned. Email is old school
Right.
because I grew up with social media, but I just realized more and more that that's a dumb belief. And yeah, email is super, super important. And I think that's also why it's great to be across different podcast or different platforms, that your podcast, your YouTube, longer form, where if you do for some reason lose a platform somewhere, you've got other platforms and your fans and followers will come and find you, which is quite
Yeah.
a cool thing as well. If you were wiped out on one platform and you just showed up on another platform and said, "Hey, I'm here now," people would actually come and find you as well. But only the people who've built up a relationship with you, who actually miss you, not the people who follow you for some short video of a donkey running into a wall or something.
Totally. Well, and it really hits the 7-11-4, like you mentioned, and different platforms provide different, have different strengths and weaknesses, right? So like YouTube is amazing for really going deep on content, right? Like if my car's broken, I just, my the rear suspension went out on my Mercedes and I went on YouTube. I'm like, how to fix your Mercedes suspension. Not that I know how to do it, but I don't want to get ripped off by the mechanic. And I see that it's like XYZ. So I'm like learning how to do this thing. Like that's why I go to YouTube, right? I go to TikTok or IG when I'm just like bored or waiting to like, waiting in line for something because I want to be entertained, right? And when I see somebody on there that I know, I'm like, oh, cool. What are they up to? I see a quick little a photo or a quick little reel, and that sort of like reminds me, oh yeah, this person's in my life and they're cool and they do this, right? Versus email, that's like business. Like I go on my email and I'm checking for like important things and messages, and like there's offers on there, and I'm kind of more in like a business mode. And so like, and I see this with dating too. When I was single, girls would obviously meet me however, and then they'd follow me on Instagram. That would kind of give them, that's how I stayed kind of current and up to date. And some of those girls would like actually Google me, and then they'd find my podcast. And anytime that happened, it was like game over, right? Because now she's listening to my long form content, and it's just that time spent Even though I'm talking about dating stuff, right? It just can't help but build the connection for you. So it's just fascinating how it all works pretty much identically.
Yeah, it's the same thing. And I notice it more and more and more. Like the principles, the concepts, they are the same. And I think they will so I think another thing that I think is relevant is the direction that both business and dating and socializing are going, where people are craving human connection, right? And people are actually craving like legitimate, authentic people, not like some person on a dating app and you're just like swiping through all these fucking, just faces. And it's, you know my opinions on dating apps. You have the same ones, I think,
Yeah.
for the most part. But it's like just people are craving actual connection. And I think in the online business space as well, particularly with more and more technology coming in. I mean, you can be in a dating app now and you're talking to some AI girl and you don't even know it, right? Or you can be on Instagram and you're talking to some bot in the chat and you think you're talking to a person, or you're talking to many chat, or it's like we're just moving further and further away from human connection. And I think that becomes more and more important. And that's where the long form content comes in as well, because you can't fake, well, at least not yet, I don't think, 2 hours of a podcast or an hour of a podcast. And that's where people are kind of craving that as well. And I noticed that that's something that just showed up for me in life when, even when I was single and I was talking to girls and just communicating with them very directly out and about, if I bumped into someone, and just being very okay with communicating like a normal human being. And like people really appreciated it. They were like, wow, no one like comes up and talks to me normally anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like people just either hitting me in a weird way or they're just like bombarding my DMs. But it's like so nice just to have a normal conversation with someone who's like, well, ballsy enough to walk up and be like, hey, what's up? How are you?
Right.
And then the same thing in like, I've actually started doing some more in-person stuff. Although I do online and I love online, I'm actually making an effort to catch up with some of my guys in person. And I know you do this as well. Like you catch up with your guys, you do immersions, you do like photo shoots, you do all sorts of cool stuff with the guys. You go out and party and run events, and like you actually meet your online clients in the
Right.
real world and build relationship. And you've connected me with so many cool guys who I've actually met in the real world. I had like multiple guys, who I met through you, who are like staying in the spare room and like, visiting, traveling from Brazil halfway across the world to Europe, like to come and hang out. And I think that's so important as well, to also make the time and the effort to just connect with people. It doesn't really matter what your goal is, if it's a social goal or a dating goal or a normal just making connections goal, or if it's business and actually running events and running in-person things and bringing people. I think if you can be a connector of people and a host who brings people together, I think that's an incredibly valuable thing as well, no matter your niche.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I really saw a massive shift in my business when I started strategically creating more of those connections, right? Like I can only host, 1 or 2 immersions per year, but instead of just doing that, right? And some guys can come, some guys don't want to come because obviously that costs money, right? But guys are in the community and everyone's connected through the Discord and, through online. But I made it a point to like, no, let me try to actually connect the guys with each other and get them to hang out, to meet face to face. And it's such a radical difference of connecting with someone, online or even on a Zoom call versus actually meeting in the flesh. Right. And then once that happens, it just kind of opens the door for more and more. And I found that like when I started really just like positioning myself mentally as not just a coach, but more of just like a connector, and trying to really curate the right sort of guys, and not allowing some guy to come in who, wanted to pay me but was a little bit weird, or like just having like not being really clear on who my sort of target audience was, and then connecting those guys, it led to like way more referrals. It just made everything so much easier because nothing is better than a referral, right? Because that guy's going to be cool. He's already vetted. He's already sold because his buddy was sold, and it just the group grows, everyone grows because the network is expanding and it's the right people. Because before I was just so focused on, my only value is just, helping a guy with whatever sort of problem he had as a coach. But it's actually, no, my biggest value is just connecting the guys with each other who are doing cool shit, and they're going to figure it out on their own no matter what. Because they're probably not even going to hear the cool thing I told them, right? I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, Robbie. I'll try that next week. And then, didn't try it, or maybe tried one thing, but it's like, oh no, now I met my buddy. Now we're living together and we're hanging out and we're doing all this shit. This is just my life now, right? Versus here's some advice that you may or may not take.
Sure, and it's accountability, right? It's accountability, and there's a bit of competition, and you don't want to now be letting your buddy down, or you don't want to be beaten by your buddy, depending on the kind of person that you are, right? But I think that's another thing that's really, really important, and that I'm really pushing for this year is community.
Yeah.
And the value of community. Because again, as everything just moves, like technology is only going one way. It's not going to regress, right? It's not going to suddenly decide to go backwards. It's just accelerating forward. And we don't really know where that leads, but I think it's fair to say that it's going to just remove more and more human interaction and move more and more of life like online into technology, and then being able to have communities where people are actually engaging with other people on the same journey. Because I listened to an interesting podcast recently as well by, I don't know if you know who Mel Robbins is. It was actually a snippet from a podcast, but talking about the difficulty that like adults have making friends, right? Because when you're a kid, you're in school, you're surrounded by kids. It's just a normal thing to do, to make friends. You go to sports clubs.
I did hear this. Yeah, this is
always
great.
Surrounded by people. And then,
right.
When you go to university, or you go to high school and then you go to university, you're always surrounded by people. You're going to parties, you're going to, different events, you're going to graduations. And then bang, you're 22 or 23 and you're like working in the workforce. And all of a sudden, like the 5 people you work with are not maybe that different in age to you, but if you're 23 or 24 and your workmate is like 32, they're maybe like just at a different stage of life. And all of a sudden you got friends, but they're just in a slightly different stage of life. And I feel like, especially if you're like a guy who's embarking on improving social skills, building a life where you have like just tons of access to interesting, cool, high level people to go and do things, adventure, travel, all these things, and be surrounded by cool people, or you're trying to build a business, it's like you are in the minority. Yeah. Like, never mind just like going to a normal job where it's hard to find people like you. But if you're one of those guys, you're like already so far in the minority. And then if you're a guy who's building social circles and wants to travel and adventure and building business, it's like you're even further in the minority. So I think it's so important to be able to find like-minded communities and to be able to just have that accountability and the experience as well. It's like, it's not even just about the accountability and the results. It's like the way you get them. Like, it's so much fun. It's so much fun last year. It's fucking amazing. Loved every minute of it. And like, now I'm loving being in a relationship and committed to one person and committed to building a business. And I'm fully in on that. And I have like so many friends who are like already building businesses or in that same, and it's so much fun. It's like this is why me and you are here, right? Like, we wouldn't be having this conversation, but we're like very aligned on just life in general and building businesses. And we've had a really great relationship over the last couple of years. And like, it's amazing, like, that we get to call this work, by the way, sitting down, chatting with one of my good friends. It's like, it's amazing. But if we had never made investments in, I'm sure you made loads of investments in yourself on the way up from different mentors and communities, and, just even just investments of time and effort to meet people and that kind of stuff. It's like, if you don't go out of your way to actually put yourself in those circles and those communities. I've invested in tons of mentorships and communities, and like all sorts of people have helped me on the way. But if I just kind of sat around and was like, there's no one who wants to do the shit I want to do, like, I'd still be sitting in, the back arse of Ireland waiting for those people to like walk in the door.
Totally. Yeah. I've spent, I tracked it at one point at, well over six figures on coaching and mentorships, and probably closer to 200K on all the things that I've done before, being able to be in a position to sort of build my own, or kind of building my own as I went. But the other thing I find fascinating with both of our lifestyles is kind of like how we ended up in our relationships. Because I feel like the average guy will kind of separate business from social, or separate dating from social from business. And I think the correct way to do it is make them all working together almost the same, right? So like using you as an example, you're a single guy, you linked up with another guy who's on the same page, and you're like, let's move to a great city where, there's a great ratio of men to women and the sort of people we want. And also where, you work from home, so you can build your business there. It's cost effective, right? And then you're like, let's focus on, instead of just trying to like go on a bunch of online dates and try to just, hunt for chicks, right? Let me build a social circle here and use that to create content around my business and to have that social outlet. And then you very naturally ended up meeting your girl. And that's the same thing that happened with me in Kiev, right? I was building my business. I was having fun. I was, hosting things and not really focusing on dating. And then the dating ended up becoming an offshoot of that, I guess you could say, or just a natural occurrence of that. And now both of our girls support us in our business. We make content with them. They're very integrated, and the social circle that you built is still very much a part of your life. You may not spend as much time like hosting parties or that sort of thing, but you're now focused on hosting, different things for your clients or the guys in your community. And it's the same sort of skill set. I feel like that applied.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And there's actual like tangible proof. So yesterday I sat down with one of my clients, and he came here to the house, and we sat down for like 2 or 3 hours and went through his business systems. Guess where I met him?
One of the parties.
One of the parties, of
there
course.
You go.
Yeah, Christmas party, right? Came along as a plus one with a girl who was attending, and got chatting to him at the party. And actually, like you mentioned, my girlfriend got talking to him, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm looking to get into the online coaching space." And she was like, "Oh, you should talk to Owen." So like, it's amazing as well. By the way, it's like I first came here, and it was totally focused on social life. And I think because moving to a new city is, it's there's just so much chaos. Like when you move to a new city, it's like, especially in a new country, by the way, it's like residency, bank accounts, tax, accountants. Right. In a country where you don't speak the language, and a lot of the older demographic, especially the kind of people who work in the tax office or the residency office, they're like the ones who don't speak your language and just don't want to deal with you. They're not like the friendly ones. So that first 6 months, it was like a lot of just focus on social circle, and my business was kind of like taking a back seat. And obviously as well, meeting lots of people, single at the time. So, my focus was not necessarily on business. But after a while, that social circle then did just actually, produce like lots of opportunities, obviously in terms of business and like meeting people and just meeting cool people who may not necessarily be clients, but are also people who are aligned with the way that I want to live and the things that I want to do. And then of course, met my girlfriend just through that social circle and through running events and, using Instagram and all these things as well. And it's incredible because now we're like super aligned. And like you said, we create content, same like you and Maria do. And it's amazing. It's like when you find someone who's very aligned on, also working online, creating content, but we also both, leverage social circle game. Let's call it like social circle game from a business standpoint. Like the other day, Xenia, my partner, had 15 girls over here for like a vision board workshop as part of her club. It was amazing. It was like so cool to have that space. And we've now used the space for like, there's been like vision board workshops, there's been like parties, there's been meditation. She had like 30 girls for meditation another night. Like there's been all of these like differing events some more fun focused, some more self-development focused, some very wholesome, some chaotic and maybe not so wholesome, but fun. And then also, like I'm going to host events here, like mastermind wise, but being able to host masterminds is going to be so easy after hosting loads of social events. And then also just, our mutual friend who's here as well, like also very motivated to run events, meet new people. And we're all like collaborating and working together. And it's cool. It's kind of become like just this house of events and collaborations and content. And that all came from, essentially social circle and building that up from scratch. And it's pretty insane what's actually been achieved in a year's time. So yeah, man, it's been a trip for sure. And it's really interesting because I feel like we do have a similar trajectory into, that next phase of life and the journey.
For sure. Yeah, I feel like that what you just spoke about is such an important I mean, you call it a hack or whatever you want, but it's getting a space where you can do all that. That was probably the key to building a social circle. Like I built a social circle in LA, New York, San Diego, Kiev, Budapest. I never lived in Budapest, but I had a buddy who had an amazing apartment, multiple bedrooms. And I used to do Airbnb, and that's how I first originally did it in New York. A buddy and I got a big place that we couldn't afford. We figured, worst case scenario, we can always Airbnb it to make the rent. But we were hosting poker games and all these other sort of things and our own parties. And just having a space where you like have an extra bedroom or two, or just being able to host and have events, like it's incredible what you can build from that. And it's always a little bit of a risk, like, as a single guy, you're like, I'll just get a 1-bedroom or a studio and, not put myself in a position where I could get, financially hurt. But every single time I've like made that leap of faith to get a place where I can do the things I want to do, it paid off in like crazy spades.
Well, man, I cannot agree with you anymore. This year has been eye-opening, I think, in terms of the importance. And I had a good apartment before in Barcelona. I had a top penthouse apartment. It was really nice with 2 friends, but we were just lacking. We had the place, but we didn't have the systems. And we made a lot of cool shit happen, but it just cost us way more time and energy and effort than it needed to. And we were bootstrapping it when we basically could have, done it way more efficiently instead of being like, we hustled our way there versus systemized our way there. But the apartment is just so good. Like to have a good space that's centrally located and that you can, and it doesn't even need to be fancy.
Right.
It's just, you got to have space. It's got to be centrally located. Of course, it's got to be clean and nice, but it doesn't have to be like high-end furniture and, this kind of stuff. We have another mutual friend who would disagree with us.
We do. But I agree with you.
If he's watching this, he'll remember my beautiful couches. But yeah, I think the space is so important. It's because it opens up the doors. Like, what are you going to do if you're sitting in a studio apartment?
Yeah. like
What are you going to do? Like bring back 5 people to party in the studio apartment, and then
you end up paying for, like in the event you are successful, you end up spending way more money on places you have to rent out to host your mastermind or to host your event, or you got to borrow your buddy's place to host your birthday party. And, then you got to deal with, whatever sort of shit that he's got to deal with. Right. And so, yeah, it's just, it really pays off. And I really want to come visit Sofia and see the place that you guys got. So, I think hopefully I was instrumental in helping you find it and choosing it with the, but every place over there's got that old furniture. So it's just the way it goes.
Dude, we would love to have you. It'd be a pleasure. And we have a spare room waiting for you. And yeah, I don't know if we have a golf course though. That's the only issue. I don't know if we have a golf course.
Good question.
But I guess we can get some golf clubs and some balls and go out to there's a park next door.
In Varna, there's amazing golf.
Okay.
On the coast.
I believe that.
Yeah, I've actually never been to Sofia. I've only been to Varna and golfed out there on the coast. when we were driving from Ukraine to Turkey and back. But yeah, I think there is one course in Sofia, so to come visit. But so dude, what's so what's next for you with with the business stuff? I know you're growing your YouTube, growing your community. What else are you sort of focused on? And also tell guys who are listening from my end, we're going to release this on both of our podcasts. But so for the guys who are listening on my end, how do they find you and work with you?
Sure, yeah. So on my end, I guess just to give a little bit of context for anyone who hasn't come across me before, but I've been in the online fitness space since 2020, actually 2019, but full time since 2020, and traveling around Europe, enjoying life from a laptop. And it's been good to me. It was pretty successful. I had quite a good team of clients, up to 50 clients, and hit the 6-figure mark and traveling around Europe, and life is great. But over time, I realized that my real interest was not in fitness coaching, but in the business of fitness coaching. I love the business. I love the sales, the marketing, the systems, the processes, the creativity. And I felt like I was just being a little bit shackled in and chained by the fitness coaching. And I had a few clients who became personal trainers. So they were fitness clients. They got in great shape. They did a personal training start. And then they came to me and were like, hey, how do I build a business? So I was like, well, I guess I can create a mentorship and show you how to build a business. So I did that probably for 2 years. But I really, in the last year or so, and mostly in the last 6 months, but the last year I've been putting a lot of work, gone all in on the mentorship. I still have long-term fitness clients, but I'm not taking on any new fitness clients at the moment. So my focus this year is I essentially started from not quite zero, but I'm treating this as a completely new business, and the other business is tipping away in the background. Mm-hmm. And the goal is to grow it to a 250K run rate in 12 months, which is 3 21K months back to back. So run rate is projected revenue for the coming year. And I want to do that without paid ads, without staff, and without spending a ton of time like cold DMing people and all that bullshit.
Dude, we're in the exact same boat. We have the exact same business. I refuse to do ads. I'm a one-man show. I mean, I pay an editor, but that's whatever. That's a 1099 sort of guy. And yeah, I will not do the DM thing. I've had so many people pitch me on like, oh, I'll make a DM funnel for you. I'm like, no, fuck off.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm building a business on creativity and things that I like, and also with a scalable delivery model. And I'm trying to do that in 12 months. So I'm pretty much on track. I've broken it down to exactly, how many clients I need to get a week, the value I need to deliver them so that they actually stay and retention is good. And it's actually been incredible. I've tapped into so much creativity and realized that I have so much more skill and value to give than I even realized. But when I made that move to go all in, it's been amazing. My clients have been killing it. Like my clients last year, multiple clients in their first year did north of 50K euros within their first 12 months from zero, from never having coached before. Wow. Which was pretty wild. So yeah, man, things are good. I'm completely focused. I actually am going on a little trip tomorrow morning. So it's now almost 10 p.m. in Sofia, and I'm getting up at 5 a.m. to go to the airport. It's my girlfriend's birthday. She doesn't know where we're going, and I'm not going to tell you because she might be in earshot and she might hear. So other than that, we're away for 5 days. And other than that, no travel plans, locked in on business building for the year, locked in on self-development, health and fitness, just socializing, meeting people, living a good life. And if we hit the goal, then potentially we'll do a little bit of travel somewhere early next year, maybe to a different continent. So let's see. We may even take a little trip over stateside at some point, but let's see. Who knows?
Amazing. Yeah, if you do, you gotta come to LA. We're we just hit, or we're about to hit 20K subscribers on our golf page. We just celebrated my wife's birthday. Thanks. It's been fun. And I ultimately see one day when I'm become too much of a dinosaur to coach dating, which I actually don't think will ever happen because I coach guys in their 50s and 60s now. But my passion is golf, of course. So we had that sort of goal to hit 20K, and we never officially took a honeymoon. So we might do a honeymoon to Scotland and Ireland and England in July. So I'm sure I'll be hitting you up for local intel when we're there. Maybe we'll have to drop into Sofia as well if we go over to Ukraine and Eastern Europe.
Awesome, man. Yeah, keep me posted because I'm normally taking 1 or 2 trips back to Ireland during the year as well, and generally kind of going around summertime when the weather is not absolutely battering you everywhere you go. So potentially we'll sync up. But yeah, man, that's it. Just in terms, I think you said just where people can find me as well. They'll be able to find me at Owen Dobbin Caddo on pretty much every platform. YouTube, go and find my YouTube. We've been talking about long form content. So if you want to get to know me, that's the place. And Instagram and of course everywhere else. And yeah, I guess also on your end, for anyone on my end who's listening.
I just learned the strategy. This is funny. I'm going to test it out while walking through it. We'll have to figure it out on the spot. But what I've been seeing, especially in the golf world, for people to do collabs, right? It's a great opportunity to showcase someone else's work, get followers on both sides. And to do that, you have to offer some sort of like incentive, right? So it's like one guy, they'll do like an 18-hole golf match. The first 9 holes will be on one guy's channel. The second 9 holes will be on the other guy's channel. And to win the gift, you have to subscribe to both and like drop a comment. So I'm thinking, actually, in hindsight, we never discussed this. Maybe we could release half of this on mine and half on yours, and say you have to subscribe on both to get the special prize. But what's the special prize going to be? Get the ideas?
Oh, the special prize. Oh, I'm really on the spot now.
You could like pick a winner and give them something. I don't know.
An all expenses paid trip around the globe on Robbie.
Okay.
I don't know, dude. I'm not good with this stuff. I'm good with business stuff. I'm terrible with gifts.
I know, right? It's hard. Maybe if you subscribe to both and drop a comment, I don't know, maybe like a free coaching call for somebody on, and you know, we'll pick the winner. How about that?
That sounds good. If we can
Randomly
make that work.
So subscribe on my channel, Robbie Kramer, Owen Dobbin Caddo. Subscribe on both channels and then drop a comment. Comment can be coaching call, and then we'll pick amongst randomly who does that. So
I was like, plan.
Cool. Well, dude, this has been awesome. Always enjoy our conversation. So hopefully whoever's listening did too.
Awesome, Robbie. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure. And yeah, thanks for all your help and guidance, and all the stuff we do together is always fun. So thank you.
Likewise, man. Out of all the guys I know, the only ones who managed to consistently win the game are those who built and invested in a high-status social circle. You can certainly approach women and try your luck on the apps if you're a Chad, but those strategies simply don't work consistently to attract top-tier women and awesome friends into your life. But for most guys, the idea of building a social circle can feel overwhelming, so they continue to hunt for women in their usual ways and end up settling for a girl they were never really that excited about in the first place. To avoid this fate, join our community and instantly plug into a highly vetted social circle of cool dudes to network and navigate your journey with. You already know it's hard to find wingmen because the good ones don't stay in the game very long. Many of our members travel together, end up living together, build amazing circles, and even businesses together, both in the West and in many of the best locations around the globe with gorgeous women and low cost of living. I'm extremely careful who I let into this community, but if you feel like you'd make a good fit, you can apply to join. The link's in the description.